So what problem do we have here when we click on play? Look, if I hit play, this works perfectly fine, but if I hit play again, there are 2 now, and when I click again, it's 3 now. So what happens if we take a look here? When we click on play, the start method gets invoked, right? Which adds an interval that invokes this method over and over again. Well, when we hit play again, it adds another interval. So now there are 2 intervals running at the same time. When we hit play again, it's gonna be like to-doom, to-doom, to-doom. When we hit play, 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 it's gonna be like all right? So it's gonna add multiple ones. What we need to do is remove this interval every time we hit on play and stop, okay? Again, these are kind of stacking on top of each other. There are multiple intervals running every time we invoke the start function. So what I'm gonna do is go all the way up here. I'm gonna add a this dot is playing and set this equal to null for now, okay? So down here, by the way, what the set interval returns me is an ID, a special ID that identifies the specific interval, because later on what we can do is we can clear out this interval. So take a look, const test equals set interval. I can add it like that and it still works perfectly fine. But now this test actually gives me back some kind of ID, some kind of way I can track this interval. So take a look, I can console log out test, and you're gonna see that it just brings me back a number. Play, there we go, 2. All right, so it just generates me a random number. So what we can do is we can do clear interval, and we can just pass in that test. All right, we can use it that. So when we hit play now, as you can see, it doesn't run because we stopped it with the clear interval. All right, so we add it to a variable here, but I'm not going to add it to a random one here. What we're going to do is change the is playing from null to that specific ID. So I'm gonna say is equal to this dot is playing. Okay, so now what I can do is every time I go to the start, I can do a check if it's playing. Okay, so what we can do is say if not this dot is playing. All right, so if this is not playing, I can add curly brackets here. I'm going to copy the last one from here all the way. Let's see, where do we need to copy? I kind of want to hold all of this logic. So here at the end. Okay, hit save. So here I can add the else statement. Here is where I can remove the interval. Clear the interval. Okay. So what I can do is say clear interval here, and I can pass in this dot is playing. Okay, so here we set it, and if it's already set, then we can clear it. And what I also want to do is after I clear, I want to reset this dot is playing to null again. This dot is playing equals to null. Okay, so let's play this. All right, it goes one by one. Hit stop, and it stops. Hit play again. It works. Stop. All right, so we're clearing that interval every time. So we're checking this is not playing. Then we're setting the interval, and we're running the repeat. Okay, if it's already set, then we're clearing that this dot is playing. And we're resetting the is playing to null, because if we don't console log this dot is playing down here, you're gonna see that the value is still gonna be 2. All right, so if we don't have this last line of code here, if we don't reset it back to null like we have up here, then we need to click. All right, it just doesn't work anymore because it's going to be always set to 2. So it's going to stop, but now, as you can see, it's always set to 2. All right, so that's not going to run anymore. So we reset it back to 0 here, to null. Okay, so now we have our little loop working here of stop and start. Our text is not updating here, so let's fix that issue. Let's go back here. Let's do an update button method or something. So start after the start down here. Let's do update button. And here I can do the same checks again. I can say if not this dot is playing, then I can do this dot play button dot inner text is equal to stop. All right, this basically means that we are currently playing right now. So we have to add stop here. And what we can do is also add this dot play button dot class list dot add. Let's add an active class here. All right, else we can copy this over and just add play again. And here we can remove the class and hit save. Okay. So if this is not playing, all right, the reverse of not, then we can add a stop. And otherwise we can add a play. Actually, this is a bit confusing now that I think about it, because is playing is going to be null for now. And then we check if not is playing. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's fine, because we always check the reverse of it. So if we have a value here, all right, then this is gonna run, else this is gonna run. All right, we actually need to also add this to the click event because we're not invoking this method. So let's go down here on click. All right, on the drum kit, we also want to run drum kit dot update button like that. Hit save. Let's see. There we go. We are updating the text. Stop, play, stop. Let's see if it works perfectly fine. Stop. Okay, play. Okay, so it works just nice. Again, just to clarify here what this dot is playing is, because it can be quite confusing. So basically what happens why we add this exclamation mark here is if it's null, and that's the default here, is playing as null. All right, so null, we want to check the opposite of it. So if it's null, this is going to return false, so it wouldn't run this. So we check the opposite of it. So the opposite of this dot is playing, which is going to be true. So this piece of code is going to run. It's going to add the interval. Else is going to clear it. Okay, optionally, you can do something like this. You can do this dot is playing, and then we can just reverse these two statements. All right, so maybe that's a bit more clear. Maybe we can do it like that. So if this is null, then we can switch these around. So if it's null, then this is going to return false. So we want to run the else statement. All right, so this dot is playing is null. We're going to add the interval. All right, because this is false, so we're not going to run this code. But if it's true, we're going to clear it. All right, yeah, I think that's going to be a bit better. All right, so let's do it that way. Let's see if it still works. Okay, it still works. We can do the same thing here to the button too, if you want. So if it's playing, well, here kind of we have to do the reverse. Again, because when we hit play, we want the stop to appear. And when we hit stop and the actual track stop, we want to have play displayed here. So either way, you can add like that and then switch these two around. I'm gonna leave it like this. All right, in this case, same. Like here, if we have null, all right, we're gonna check the reverse of it. So if it's, so then this becomes true, and then we add stop. Else we add the play. Okay. Whew. It's a bit tricky to wrap your head around it, but the way you can do it is just add a console log to each of them. This dot is playing, see the value that you get back, and then kind of go from there of how this if and else statement works. Same from here too. All right. Okay, I'm done. Let's move on and complete this app up.